So you're at a steak restaurant or any restaurant that serves, usually high quality steaks. You're in the mood for a great steak and you say, okay, let's go here. And everybody has their specialty steak restaurants in their area. And I want you to think back, when was the first time you saw the words dry aged? Dry aged. It's like the most expensive steak on the menu. I'm not going to lie to you. Some people like it. Some people, it's not for them. I'd say most of us really don't know what the actual process of dry aging is. And, when you start thinking about dry aging things at home, well, you've lost just about everyone. However, there's a company that has come out with a bag, and it's not new, but it's new to me. And this bag allows you to dry age at home. No special equipment. You just transfer the meat from one bag to this bag and dry age it in a refrigerator. I mean, it doesn't get any simpler than that. The benefits of dry aging is a massive step in flavor. The boldness of the beef flavor. When you dry age a steak, it takes that beef flavor and multiplies it 10 times. So, like I said, some people really like that and some people don't. For me personally, I really love a dry aged steak once in a while. It's not something I want all the time, but it is something that I definitely like to indulge on once in a while. It costs so much money. Sometimes it's twice as much as a regular steak. The reason is there's a lot of time that goes into it. And today, what I want to show you is how you can do the dry aging process at home and get that awesome steak as often as you want it. So here's the product that I'm talking about. Umai Artesian Meat Pack. Basically what that is a large plastic bag that allows oxygen out and nothing else in. See, looks just like a plastic bag. But don't think that you can use your plastic bags at home. It won't work. Oxygen has to be able to get out of the bag for the dry aging process to work accurately. So the process is simple. We're literally going to take the meat, and in this case, we're dealing with a whole strip. The big chunk of meat that New York strip steaks are cut out of. We're dealing with the whole thing. We're going to cut multiple steaks out of it when this is all done. But we're going to transfer that from the cryovac that it comes in to this bag. We're going to do that in a very careful way for a really good reason. You don't want to introduce bacteria or anything from the outside world into the umai bag. Anything that's allowed in there, it's just going to grow. And so you got to be very careful. And those of you that have some experience brewing beer or distilling, you know how important it is to make sure no outside contaminants get inside of what it is that you're doing. And we're going to go by the same principle here for the most part. We're going to be very careful with the transfer. And then we're going to seal the bag with a vacuum sealer in a very kind of specific way that I'll show you. We're going to double seal it to make sure that there's no air getting in and only air coming out. And then we're going to place it in a refrigerator and let it go for somewhere between 25 and 31 days. And, that's up to you. You can actually go up 45 days. The longer you go, the stronger that beefy flavor gets. I just want to stay on the shallow end of that window at 25 and see, how this bag really works. So let's go ahead and let me show you this piece of meat that I have, and let's get it into this bag. So the first step is to wipe the outside of the bag down with some sort of, cleaning agent. I use this and some paper towels, wipe the outside of it down really well because we're going to be sticking the outside inside of the umai bag. So we want to be very careful with that. You're going to pick one end or the other to cut it. I would recommend cutting the bigger end if you have a bigger end. And so what I would do is really hit that end really well. Just like that. Get all the little crevices. Try to get it as clean as you can possibly get it. Got it on a table. Make sure the table's clean. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna cut the bag and drain any juices. In this case, well, there's a little bit, but I'm not sure that there's really enough to drain. But if you have a lot of juices, make sure you drain them. Now we're gonna take our umai bag, and just like a vacuum seal bag, you're gonna roll it. Roll it down. And that is to help make sure you don't get any juices on the upper lip here, which is where we're gonna seal it. Make sure your bag's big enough, right? Mine is, but not by much. And now we're gonna put this bag, the umai bag, over top of the strip bag. Very careful. Make sure that it's there, just a little bit, not completely, just a little bit. And now we're literally going to transfer the strip from one bag to the other. See how that's coming? Nice and careful. Now we're going to pull the cryovac that the steak came in out carefully. And there we go. Now we're on to our next step. Okay, so next step, we're gonna go ahead and fire up the vacuum sealer. Pull the edges of the bag up. We're gonna take a paper towel and just make sure that there's no dampness on the edge. The seal is everything here, guys. You have to have a perfect seal. Okay, so they give you this, it's just like a piece of fabric here. And what you're supposed to do with this is put it inside of here to make sure that it keeps any juices in and pulls a good suction on the meat. Okay, and now we're gonna do one more seal just for security. No suction needed there, just seal. All right, next step. Check your seals out, make sure they look good. Now it's time to get in the refrigerator. Okay, so we are day 5. Let's take a look at how our dry aging is going. So you can see it's turning, a mahogany color. It's stiffer. There's definitely, moisture that is being taken out of the meat. You can just kind of feel it and see it. That's exciting. Day 5.
After 30 days, I went ahead and took the strip loin out of the refrigerator, cut the bag off, and there was a crust with even speckles of like little white mold, but don't be scared by that. Light molds are not a problem. We have those all the time whenever we're doing aging, whether it's cheese or meat or whatever. Dark molds are what you want to avoid. Then I went ahead and took a very sharp knife and I cut the outside layer of the strip loin off. All the hard stuff that it's not going to be edible. So you just cut that off, and that included the mold. And once you get just under it, if you use your knife carefully, you won't cut away anything extra. And once you get just under it, the knife will just kind of glide through. And it's a whole different piece of meat once you get all of that bark off. It was hard and very firm. And now when you get all the bark cut off, it's returned to, a normal beef feel to it. It's got some give to it. It's not rock hard, and it just smells absolutely amazing. It's something you have to try in order to really know what I'm talking about.
Well, it's time. It's time to go ahead and throw these dry aged steaks on the grill. And I'm gonna use the Lone Star Santa Maria because, to be honest with you, I haven't found a better way to do steaks. It's even better than my Weber charcoal grill, my little, round Weber. Everybody's had one of those. That, for me, for the longest time, was the best way to do steaks. But This Lone Star, woo, that cooks a good steak. So we're gonna go ahead and use that because I want the best possible flavor I can get on this steak just to see what it's made of. See if it's worth all the effort, see if it's worth all the time. Let's find out. Salt, pepper, garlic. A little oil. Let them come up to room temperature. And we'll be good to go. Nothing like some good old Delmarva corn on the cob with hopefully what's to be one of the best, most flavorful steaks I've ever had. Let's give it a shot. Right away, it's a beefy smell. It's like you're smelling beef, bone broth or something. It's just almost like gamey. It's tender. Wow. It's intense. The flavor is, it's unlike any steak that you'll ever have commercially for the most part. It's got a gamey taste. It's like deer and beef combined into one beautiful piece of meat. It's delicious. Absolutely delicious. It's got a nice smokiness from the charcoal. I use lump charcoal if you didn't notice because it burns hotter, and that way I get a more intense sear. That Lone Star did a number on this. This is wonderful. I'll say this: it's not something you want to eat a ton of. It's more of a delicacy, I've got 5 pieces here, 5 small pieces, and that is a perfect amount. You don't want to eat too much, or the flavor might be too bold for you. Maybe not. Maybe you like that really bold, gamey flavor, and then you're going to eat a lot more. It's not something that you want to do all the time. It really isn't. Not me, anyway. There's a lot of effort involved with this. But I tripled the value of this steak if you were to compare it at a restaurant. So if you're on a budget or you just can't see spending that money they want to charge, outrageous amounts at restaurants for dry aged beef, try it. I'm telling you, you don't have to use the whole strip loin. You can put just one steak in that bag. That bag will do whatever you want. It's just a bit of a waste as far as the bag goes. Order the smaller bags if you're just going to do a steak or two at a time. For me, I wanted to do the whole strip loin because, if I'm going to go through the effort, I wanted to maximize what I was going to get out of it. And so I spent a little extra money, got the whole strip loin, and I think it's worth it. Now I'm gonna freeze 2 bags, and so each bag has 3 size steaks just like this. And of course, I have these 3 here that I just served. These were fresh; they never got frozen. They're straight from the dry aging process to the refrigerator for 2 days, to the counter for half an hour to let them come up to room temperature, and then straight on the grill. And now in my belly. Now, I have to get back to this food because the smell is just, oh my gosh, this thing's insane, guys. Make sure you try dry aging your beef at home. Delicious.